by our provision in the church deed, we got to have a UU minister speak once every 2 years to continue operating.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what do we do?
So if Derek doesn't come by within a couple of years' time, we're not in accordance.
I can't see that we can go a couple more years.
But I can't see that the denomination going to close down.
No, they're not going to. And Derek had another guest speaker. It's a new professor in Irwin. It sounded really interesting. I was going to see if we could get her to come and give the same presentation. She's an expert on Hindu or some other kind of religion, and that's what she teaches. That's not what she teaches in Irwin.
I really like it.
What's that?
We found
We found the plaque?
it. It's at the plaque. It's in the basement along the ledge there behind in the basement.
It's in the basement?
Yeah, it's back there against the wall.
It was probably loose and somebody took it off so it would fall off.
How to get in the basement?
I think probably chest.
Probably chance. Probably it was loose.
Yeah.
He was afraid it would fall down.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably had fallen off the wall.
That's what I
The way it looks out there.
I couldn't see how it was fastened over there.
Well, there's big holes in the mortar.
Oh,
That's all deteriorated. Bill Burgett remounted that thing a few years ago. He refinished it and everything and remounted it all. But don't understand why it came out so quick.
Okay, welcome to First Universalist in Madison. We discussed Universalist. We are still Universalist Unitarian because the two groups united because of dwindling membership in each, and because their beliefs and their functions and their activities are so closely aligned anyway. There's a pretty fine hair dividing Universalist from Unitarian. But actually, that's what we're going to talk about today, is a little bit of the history of the 7 principles. Some people say 8. And they just changed in the last meeting, the last annual meeting. They adopted some new ideas, and we talked about that once, but we'll go over that again. And of course, I watched some things on YouTube of people who think we've sold our soul to the devil and everything has gone to hell in a handbasket, which I'm not quite sure where that guy is coming from, but he basically said the church was dead, and I think he's kind of missed his mark a little bit, but he had some interesting things to say on interpretation. So, do we have any announcements? Okay, don't forget the Sunday after Thanksgiving, we'll be meeting at El Dorado for a carry-in and get to hear Derek preach again. All right, our prelude, Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? Perfect for the activities of society currently. Spare a dime. How appropriate as we watch the White House being transfigured into a 90,000 square foot gold trimmed ballroom, while all the food slips, the food support for millions of people has been cut off and denied. Millions of people will not have their SNAP benefits. Food banks are being rushed and crowded and way undersourced to be able to provide. That was the conservative interpretation is always private. People will be able to supply the needs of the needy. The churches will do that. They are being put to the test, and so far they've not been able to pass that, although there have been donations. Everybody is donating. We donated extra last week, and we will continue to donate. But it is not going to be enough for what's going on. All right, what we're going to talk about this week is 7 principles. Beginning on the 7 principles, anybody recognize these two people? Henry David Thoreau, everybody knows him. The other one, Henry David Thoreau was a Unitarian in the 1800s. The other is Joseph Priestley, is also a Unitarian from England who emigrated to the United States, and we'll talk about him a little bit. There's a reason that the two of them I've put up there, and a reason the two of them are kind of at the foundation of what we're going to be talking about. Palace lighting. We have chosen to bring ourselves here to this sanctuary to gather as a community of faith. We join together in solidarity as a covenantal people who are drawn together by the promise of connection and the mysterious pull of the unanswerable. We draw on experiences of love and wonder and move us beyond the mundane. I never really, and I didn't spend enough time looking to see what covenanted actually means, so we may have to put, if we don't tease that out today, we'll work on that in the future. Our opening hymn is from the Red Hymnal. We're going to be doing a little more patriotic songs today as it is time for faith in our country. Yes, the Red Hymnal 174. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. O beautiful for pilgrims' feet, whose stern impassioned stress, a thoroughfare for freedom across soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Every one of these phrases is something we can pay attention to today. O beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. Words which I wish we were living by as a nation now. All right. Affirmation. Prayer for resilience. Gracious and loving God, from whom all things come and to whom all things return. We gather on the edge of another week, and for some of us, on the edge of our strength. We come buoyed by the events of our week, or weighed down by them, or we arrive in some paradoxical mix thereof. We are here in our Sunday assembly of hope and restoration. At times we come weary and worn down, and for some, this is how we arrive today. At other times, we come with questions, with a longing, or with something to offer. But for those who come today shattered, broken, lonely, and lost, let us offer our prayer of resilience. Again, this week we test the tender places in our hearts and in our lives to see what healing may occur. Gratitude is often a source of healing. We give thanks for the landscapes of grace in our lives, for music and for good companions, for the guidance of great principles, and for the examples of integrity around us. We give thanks for all that lifts us up and for the lessons that lead us on. An abstract expression, this is the description, for the times when we are brought low by anxiety or adversity, show us the hidden wells of love we can. Help us rise up once more, just a visitation maybe after a Sunday. We may go in as a group, or anybody that wants to, take some donuts or some kind of a potluck or whatever, just travel to somebody's house and say hi and see if they want to spend some time together. So we can keep discussing that. I've got a personal one. My brother had knee surgery Friday, and they found, which my brother is, I told you about my other brother who died in Florida, just basically as a hornbacker trait, refused to admit there was anything wrong until he died. This brother went in for his knee surgery, and when he was in the hospital getting prepped for surgery, they discovered he has cancer. And he knew the symptoms and he knew what was going on, but denied it and denied it, said he didn't want to worry his wife. I can tell you, not telling your wife something as monumental as that is a lot more worry when she finds out than if you would have told her at the very beginning and worked your way through it. So now he's home recuperating with his new knee and starting the whole process of biopsies and what the treatment is going to be. They don't know where they are there. So, and unfortunately, he waited long enough that it's not an early catch, which means the treatment is a lot more problematic. So we'll be probably heading up there to see how he's doing in the next few days and see if there's anything we can do to help. So that's my personal one. Then we have, as usual, Israel. Really no progress. The Israelis are still bombing Palestine, even though the peace process is supposed to be in full flow. Bodies are still being returned to the Israelis. I am seeing more and more about the Israeli settlers throwing stones, bulldozing olive trees, shooting at Palestinians trying to do their farming, blocking them out of their villages, tearing their houses down. And I've been somehow on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, I got on some kind of a Jews against Zionism. And they are putting on lots of pictures of settlers abusing Christians in Israel, Christians that are going into Jerusalem. And I don't know if they're proclaiming they're Christians or wearing a cross out in front, but they're being spit on and sworn at, and their bags are a little bit lower, it's like 7 or 8. And not much is changing in where the forces are lined up on the border. The Russians aren't making much progress, and the Ukrainians are not able to make any progress. But there's no progress in the peace conditions. So we're basically in a holding pattern here. It's a terrible holding pattern to be having people killed on every night as considered as a holding pattern. Yes?
Tim, let's light a candle. We had a tragedy in the community. Lost a young man. He had served on the library board, and his name was Marcus Bingham. He lives here in New Madison. He lived here in New Madison, and unfortunately was tragically killed in an automobile collision early morning of Monday morning. So this memorial viewing is today, memorial service tomorrow for Marcus. Yeah, 33 years old, a life ended much too early.
Oh my gosh. Bingham, Marcus Bingham?
Yes.
A New Madison resident killed in a traffic accident. Our support and whatever we can do for his family and the people around him. And you have to be careful on the road. And I told you my experiences many times driving down 121 at 55 miles an hour and having people pass me on a double yellow going uphill. Mm-hmm. I just can't conceive. And it's all the time. It's not just like it used to be, years ago, it used to be once every, and I used to drive to Troy to go to work at the hospital every day, to work and back to work, and never had that kind of thing happen. And now, it's like almost every day, somebody pulls one of those boneheaded moves. And I've gotten to the place now where if I see them in my mirror starting to pass, I step on the brakes. I said, get around me as quick as you can, because I don't want to get involved if there's a head-on collision coming.
Tim, let's like another camp on a more positive note. A little report on our friend Roberta Feltman. Roberta took a fall early, I believe this week, perhaps later last weekend. Anyway, ended in the hospital for a day or so, and is back in her room and doing just fine with her brother in retirement.
Good. Roberta should be on our list to stop in and see her after church sometime. And actually, when we go to the room at the Brethren's home, we can have coffee and cake there without us having to take anything. I also want to mention, I've got more and more electronic stuff, but I didn't have the right setup. There should be a thing that broadcasts. Appreciate Mike turning the heat on for us, and everything else I think is, we're going to tape up the door here so we don't have any leaks. And we still get bat droppings, and I thought we had all the holes plugged, but obviously a bat can get through a hole the size of your little finger, so we may just have to keep sweeping them off. Anything else?
Maybe we'll have a leak breaking session coming up here.
Yeah, let us
I don't
know.
know. Monday's gonna be snow, I think, maybe next Friday.
Yeah, I think it's going to snow Monday.
Yeah, maybe next Friday I can work on that.
Get a hold of Mike and he can put it on the internet. And I think I have one of the places we acquired had one of those lawn sweeper things. It's like a thing you pull behind your mower. It sweeps them up. If that's still there, we can bring that. Other than that, we have a garden tractor that has a bagger on the back. We can do that and pick them up. So just let us know. We can come up and do that. All right, one last candle for those people we've not been able to talk to, haven't heard from. Please communicate with us if there's anything you need, or just to let us know that everything is going well. We miss the people that we've used to have here every Sunday. All right, children's story. This is the 8 principles. I don't think you can read them. Kind of like the Unitarians, that was sung by a local congregation with the guy who knows how to play the guitar, and the sound system was probably about like ours, so it was kind of hard to hear. But that is the essence of Unitarian Universalism. It is not big, it's not fancy, there's not front, there's not 20-foot screens, so you can change them. If you think about the Protestant and Catholic Church, the mainline churches, and they have, all of them have what is called a creed. That is something that everybody has to affirm when they join the church. When you finish catechism as a child and officially join the church, you basically stand up and swear before everybody in the church that this is what you believe, the Trinity, the Jesus Christ, God is the only God, etc., etc. We might want to read the creed sometime for those of you who are not too familiar with it. That is something Universalists and Unitarians don't do. We don't have a creed. We have principles that we follow, and we try to change those to fit the times. So, one of our famous elders was Henry David Thoreau. He was an esteemed founder of the church in the East, but his family business was what? Henry David Thoreau didn't start making money until he was older with his writings. So how did he support himself? What did his family do to support him? Pencils. He wrote, their family manufactured pencils, and they were the ones who invented in the 1820s the method of having good pencils, like the number 2 hard pencils. The pencils are made with graphite, and his father discovered a vein of graphite in Massachusetts or Vermont, wherever it was that they lived. And he said, we can go into the pencil business. So they took that graphite and put slabs of wood around it and created a pencil. And Henry was the one who discovered how to grind that graphite into a finer powder and mix it with clay. Prior to this time, they'd had pencils made from graphite, but graphite is a greasy, kind of unstable material that is hard to work with. So the pencils weren't very efficient. They smeared. They didn't stay. When you wrote with them, if you touched them, they would smear all over, kind of like the ink pens of the time. So they made out in really good shape with their new invention of how to make good, hard number 2 graphite pencils. And they stayed in business till the 1850s, at which time there was a lot more competition going on. And about that time was the time Henry David Thoreau became business to support himself anymore. So, bread and roll it into a little pin and use that fresh bread would absorb the graphite and take it off. So the rubber eraser was a real improvement over using bread. So we have the pencil and the eraser by the Unitarians who followed their scientific faith and refused dogma. We don't have and never had a creed, something that you have memorized and recited down the years, unchanging from great-grandfather to grandfather to father to son to grandson. You get the picture, something that's passed on from time to time to time and never changes. Our beliefs are not embossed in granite. They are handwritten, probably originally in ink with a goose quill to start, but permanent ink nevertheless. Metaphorically, I see pencil, mutable, adaptable, open to growth, open to revision, open to improvement. We are intimately connected to Thoreau and Priestley. Their spirit of intellectual curiosity, adaptive faith, and belief in goodness persist in all the versions we have of the principles. Just as a side note, Priestley emigrated to the U.S. after his home and lab were burned by anti-science people. Things have not changed. This was in the 1600s and 1700s. There were even people then, the guy who invented oxygen and was a famous chemist, was driven out of England by the people who hated science and hated people who did science, and as an extension, hated people who said things that, as far as faith goes, are related to science. So, let's look at the transformation. The rules of faith, this is from the Philadelphia Convention of